Well, what do you know? We're back in the hizzy, y'all. It is classic tabletop RPG Friday Move. Hey to the hey. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. This is your boy Servant, and this is RPG Elite, the place where we put the RP back in the RPG. We give you tools, tips, tutorials, and real talk about the RPG culture, tabletop RPG culture, that is. And why? So that you can have a more immersive and enjoyable tabletop RPG experience. Before we get into the video today, which is part 2 of Robots in 4th edition, I want to turn your attention over to the community tab because earlier this week, I went ahead, put up our classic tabletop image of the week, and I made it easy for you guys this time. I threw it up there. I said, you know, a lot of people are probably going to get this, but threw it up there anyway. You did. There were a lot of people, so I got a list right now. So let's put it up on the screen and let's roll through this list of shout outs. 28mm RPG, Dan the RPG Hero, Alzeron Reju 73, Forest Trots, and Jackleg 2007. All of you guys got it right. This image is from Ninjas and Super Spies. Now, the edition that I have is the 7th edition from 2000, even though this one goes all the way back to the 1980s. If you can find yourself a 1st edition out there. We got another one coming next week, but we're going to do something different next week, and I'm not sure how I'm going to announce the people who get it right, but it's going to be separate from the intro to Friday because until further notice, I'm going to be trying to get ahead on these videos. I have a mission that I am on, and that mission is to get ahead by doing a video every single day for 30 days so I can be way far ahead, and then maybe we might return back to that. I doubt it. So I probably will either do a shorter video to announce who got it right, or maybe a YouTube short or something like that. I'm still kind of going through my mind as far as, okay, what exactly do I want to do? Not sure yet, but be looking for the image next week, and I'll post it up in the top what I'm going to do in terms of announcing those who get it right. If you get it right, because I'm going back to having something just a little bit hard. Just a little bit. Let's get into the video today. Robots, Part 2, 4th edition, Gamma World.
Just like in previous editions, Robots in Gamma World 4th edition respond to the proper ID and simple instructions. The proper identification is represented by a certain kind of ID card. In Gamma World 4th edition, how these cards work is different from the previous editions. There are 6 basic types of ID cards. These ID cards may be of the same access level for the organization it originally was made for, but another organization may have the same type of card that provides different access and authority, though the ID cards are of the same type. For example, the ID card of Corporation A may not work the same as another ID card from Corporation B, though they are of the same ID card category. This means robots from that organization may not respond the way PCs may want it to respond when encountered if they have unwittingly picked up the wrong card. Here are the ID card categories. Now, these ID cards are used by just everyday people. It will allow the holder to instruct robots to do basic, normal functions that the robot was created for. This card allows the user to override whatever tasks the robot is carrying out to command it to do something else that it is able to do normally. This allows the user to perform maintenance, modifications, or repairs on the robot. Now, without this card, No one can tamper with the inner workings of the robot unit. Now, some robots may insist on the proper ID card, and if it is not given, they interpret the unauthorized maintenance access as a threat and respond with moderate to extreme force. So beware. This allows the holder to reprogram a robot or change the code to modify the actual function of the robot. This allows civil authorities to override the functions of a robot under their jurisdiction. It makes it possible for them to keep whatever robots they are using on a tight rein. What's interesting about this idea is that it gives the holder the ability to tell the robot to do something contrary to its original function. This idea allows robotic security units to be overridden. Now, it's specific to robots such as police, or guards, or drones. The military had similar ID cards, and having one was the only way they controlled their robot. No other type of ID card worked. ID cards are categorized by different color schemes. These color schemes vary depending on the organization or overall purpose where it was intended to be used. Each ID card has two color schemes, a primary and a secondary. Now, the primary color is the color covering most of the card, and it represents basic access. The secondary color is represented by dots or special geometric symbols or stripes. They determine the second level of access and the authority the card has, measured by the number of shapes on the card. Let me give you an example. Corporation A has a supervisor ID card that has gold as its primary color and green dots as its secondary color. Furthermore, some of these supervisor cards have one green dot, while others have two, and still others have three. The latter is the highest authority supervisor card one can have in that corporation. So, someone with a supervisor card of level 2 access, that's 2 dots, and someone with a supervisor card of level 3 access, that's 3 dots, they could be overridden by the one who had the supervisor card of level 3. We've already gone over most of the stats for robots in Gamma World 4th edition in part 1 of this 2-part series. So what we're going to do here is define those things we haven't covered and expand on certain details that weren't covered in part 1, using an example from the common robot listings in the core book. Though there is no section in the core book of Gamma World 4th edition for any custom robot design, you could simply use the common robot listings as a guide or a template, as well as the details given here to create your own. For this, I'm going to switch over to Foundry. Okay, so here we are back in Foundry, and we're going to be using the disaster robot here as our sample robot listing that will go through all of the stats here. And a lot of these I've already gone through, so some of these I'm just going to skip through really fast because I've already gone through it in part 1 of the Gamma World 4th edition robots series. So let's go ahead and just go down, and I'll explain other things that weren't in part 1 as we get to it. So this first one here is perception, and it's what you think it is, how well the robot perceives. The next one here is stealth and remain unseen. Right here is the AC, which is the armor class. It is 20, and in 4th edition, higher means that it is better. If you have this D right here, if you see a D next to it, that means that it's made of duralloy, which means that it has that energy resistance that we talked about in part 1. Force field right here. This tells you how many points it absorbs once damage is done. If you get through the armor class here, then the force field is going to absorb 5 points of whatever the damage is. Speed, self-explanatory. Already went through that. Hit points is what you need to disable, not destroy the robot. Back to hit armor class. +6, and what's in parentheses here is the ranged. So it's +2 on the ranged. Attacks is the number of attacks that it has per round. So this robot has 2 attacks per round. And then underneath is going to tell you the type of attack. So you got your hands, which were right here. You got your tentacles, you got your laser, you got your chainsaw. Ooh, ow. Ooh. And then weapon means the modifier for melee attacks like hand and tentacle attacks. And that is based on its PS and DX, which is physical strength and dexterity. And it's because its PS is 25. Tech level we've gone through before, so we'll just move on past that. CPU analytical. Let's go over to the robot intelligence table to see what we're talking about here. All right, this here is the intelligence score table. And analytical is an intelligence that falls between 8 and 12. So you can arbitrarily just kind of pick a number between 8 and 12 that you would want the robot to have. Go back here. That is what CPU means. And so you're going to have to go back to that table because they don't give you a number, they give you a word. The size is also, there's another table for size. Let's go to that one. This is the table for size, and it has 6 different sizes for the robot. Tiny, small, man size, large, huge, and gargantuan. And apparently this robot, the disaster robot, is a man-sized robot, which means it is less than or equal to 2 meters, probably, well, it says in height right here. I was going to say probably in height, but yes, in height. Okay, we come back to our robot listing. Down here is the XP value. Oh, this one's worth quite a bit. 5,000 XP. Now understand something. If you were to destroy a robot, then it would be worth 0 XP. Down here you have the classification. In classification, it references the type of group that it belongs to. And it's going to be one of 4. It's going to be civil, it's going to be corporate, it's going to be personal, or it's going to be military. It's going to be one of those 4. This one here was civil authority. Territory, we can find this. Fire stations. How cool is that? So this is the region where you're going to be able to find these. Region or organization that it belongs to, or buildings or things like that. Okay, let's go up a little bit. Now the mission statement is the purpose and the function of the robot. So for this disaster robot, it's to save human lives and prevent or minimize property damage in the event of a natural disaster, such as a fire or flood or earthquake, industrial accident, explosion, plane crash, all of those things. The description right here is basically a long description of what it looks like physically. And this one just looks weird. It's got this kind of like oval shaped plate thing at the bottom and tentacles and arms that look more like claws. And plus it has a whole bunch of other things within it as well. I like this part right here. Okay. It says that it uses a calm, soothing female voice for victims and a bold, authoritative male voice for bystanders. That's kind of cool. I can just imagine that to be like, whoa, man, I thought I just heard you talking in another voice just a second ago. Yes, you did. When it comes to equipment, this just talks about what kind of equipment that it is geared with. So this one, just to go through a couple of them, it has some infrared cameras, it has some telescopic cameras, it has some spotlights, life force detector. Ooh, that's cool. And necessary, especially in situations when you have like a disaster or fire, to see if there's any life in there. Got a medikit, pretty high too, medikit 5. Some oxygen chains, stun ray pistol. Ooh, man. Now, I guess that one right there is for the crowd control. Laser pistol, screamer, chainsaw. So it's got quite a bit of equipment here. Now, reactions is the reaction that they will have when someone has the proper ID. So common ID cards can only be used to direct a disaster robot to the disaster scene or away from it once its job is done. So obviously you can use a common ID. The robot is required to respond to a civil authority card, which can make it stop rendering aid or direct it to a new quadrant. Security cards are obeyed even if the orders endanger property and human life. Ooh. So different kinds of cards have different kinds of effects when it comes to ordering the robot what it can and cannot do, or what you want it to do. So that's it in a nutshell of all of the stats, and these are the things that you would need to include if you were going to design your own robots as well.
So I'm trying to keep it simple, folks. Trying to keep it simple. And by the way, we have 4 more videos in the Gamma World series before we get to a totally new game. I know it's been a long haul, y'all. We've been doing this ever since last year. It's been a long haul, but we have finally made it towards the end of this series. We probably would have made it to the end of the series if I just would have did one game. But since I did all 4 editions, right? And I'm not going to do that again. It's taken this long. So here we are, only 4 more in this series. Hey, if you liked the video today, then go ahead and crush the like button. And if you like the content on the channel too, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and you better nudge that notification bell as well. I come out with videos every Tuesday and Friday, and sometimes I might come out with an extra video, especially since I've been trying to get ahead here. I might throw in an extra video here, throw in an extra video there. I got some ideas. It's kind of I'm mulling about in my brain, so you might get an extra video here and there. But Tuesdays and Fridays, those are my days, y'all. Those are my days. That's it. Your boy has got to get out of here because, like I said, I'm on a mission. So until next time, a brother has got to...
So exit, station F.
Peace. I'm out like a scout.